Good morning. Welcome back to the Sugar Freedom Kitchen. It's Catherine Gordon with the two most important hormones for weight loss, or fat loss, if that's even more important to you, because yes, that's even more important to me. I want to get right to it, give you the information that you want, and then I'm going to go ahead and tell the story of why it applies to me and I think to so many other people who are trying to overcome obesity or maintain that weight loss after overcoming obesity. Where you can look for this, and I will go ahead and post this in the notes after this goes live and when I upload it, cell.com and then also Yale University. So let's get you, first of all, the most important information that you need to know from this video. The two hormones that need to descend so that we can get into nutritional ketosis and therefore lose fat, lose weight are insulin and leptin. But what's so exciting about this, and why I'm so excited this morning, is that what we used to think about leptin was that we used to think that we needed to keep it up. We needed to keep it elevated for weight loss and for fat loss and for satiety. But now, a study that was done in 2018 is demonstrating that in order to get us into nutritional ketosis, which allows that fat burning and also helps with satiety, the leptin has to drop. So if there's only one thing that you take away from this video that I'm making today, is that when it comes to losing weight with keto or with nutritional ketosis, with keto or with nutritional ketosis, I'm so excited, the leptin has to drop. So let me read a little bit. Whoops, that's upside down. It's live though. I'm gonna go ahead and do a better video later this week. But if this is all you get, leptin has to drop for ketosis to begin. And this is from the Yale study, and the study is listed at cell.com. So it was in the medical journal, the scientific journal Cell. If that's all you get, those two things, you can go and you can read this article and then you can dive into this study, which has all the wonderful, it's got the charts and it's got all the technical jargon and understanding what's going on with the mitochondria and up and down and all of this. It's all here. I do hope that you will stay a little bit longer and hear my story and talk about why I'm so passionate about understanding leptin. If I may, I want to credit Ziba Kashef, who wrote this article in Yale News. Go Yale. All right, here it comes. To keep the human brain supplied with energy when food was scarce, mammals evolved the ability to switch from burning carbohydrates to burning fat in order to preserve skeletal muscle that would otherwise be metabolized and converted to glucose. This is so important, everybody, because I've always been so passionate about this understanding that I overcame obesity by figuring out a way to eat less, stay satisfied, and burn fat instead of burning muscle, which all those years when I was dieting and yo-yoing, I was yo-yoing because I kept burning muscle until I figured out how to get into nutritional ketosis. Scientists have long believed that the transition to fat metabolism was instigated solely by a drop in insulin. And I have to say, even though I'm not a scientist, I'm, actor, singer, dancer, but I also personal trainer, nutrition specialist. This is what I always believed too. Get that insulin down and the fat cells unlock and away we go to health and beauty, right? But a new study has identified leptin, a hormone made by fat cells, as a key mediator in this fundamental biological process. In the Yale study, led by Gerald L. Schulman, professor of medicine and cellular and molecular physiology, examined the rate of fat and carbohydrate metabolism in rats during starvation as they transitioned from a fed to fasting state. And the research team's analysis yielded new insights about leptin biology. During starvation, plasma leptin levels fall, activating a pathway that promotes the breakdown of fat and mediates this critical shift from glucose to fat metabolism. So this is what is so important. When we talk about just weight loss and restricting calories, what was happening is that as we restricted calories and as we lost weight, leptin levels fell. So the number one thought that people had, and I understand why they thought this, was, well, I know what we'll try to do. We'll try to raise leptin. And one of the things that they did to try to raise it back up was, oh, I know what we'll do. Once a week, we'll have a refeed where you can go back and eat whatever you want, and that will raise leptin levels again, and fat loss will continue. And I guess maybe this worked in people who had never had a weight problem, but it didn't work in me, because I know that whenever I tried to do those refeeds and I would add, like, sugars and grains back in, I would just eat like a maniac and I'd end up gaining a bunch of weight, and it was an absolute mess and it was a nightmare. So that wasn't working for me. Also, we know that insulin falls as weight loss occurs, but so the leptin goes down with weight loss. So the idea was, okay, we'll supplement it, we'll crank that leptin back up with expensive leptin supplements or with refeeds. But one of the things that Dr. Lustig told us, the famous Dr. Lustig, The Truth About Sugar and all that, is that what we were dealing with actually was insulin resistance, especially in obese people. I used to be obese. That the fat cells, as we're storing all that fat, they actually have plenty of leptin in them, and that we were dealing with leptin resistance, and that the brain and the body wasn't hearing the leptin. The leptin was turned up so loud that the body resists it. And even though the leptin hormone is supposed to make you eat less and move more, we were leptin resistant, and that was blocked. So what do? If you're just trying to follow a low-calorie diet and restrict what you're eating, still eating all the same foods, so you're still burning carbohydrates, you're hungry, you're dealing with leptin, you got leptin resistance, nothing is working right. But what the secret is, and what I figured out years ago, but I couldn't figure out why, was getting into nutritional ketosis, because the leptin falls, it gets you to go into nutritional ketosis. You start burning free fatty acids instead of burning glucose, and all of a sudden you're a fat burning. That was my shoes squeaking together, nothing else. Definitely have to redo this video, but stay with me. So this is what's different. Those of us who overcome obesity, who lose a lot of weight in a ketogenic state, the lower leptin is fine. It's actually the thing that turns on the fat burning and allows the beta hydroxybutyrate and the wonderful ketogenic, those ketones, to come on and feed our brains and give us energy. I mean, you can see how much energy I have. I'm like jumping out of my skin right now because I'm so excited about this. And this explains why that when we're losing weight and losing fat in ketosis, we're burning fatty acids, we're preserving muscle. Yes, we're preserving muscle. This is explaining why it works. And if there's ever a video that you wanted to share of mine, or an idea that you wanted to share of mine, please let this be the one, that we're beginning to understand why in people who are following a ketogenic nutritional strategy, the fall in leptin is actually helpful. It doesn't hurt, it helps. And this is why I am so excited. The most important thing, again, that I can share with you today, and I will put this in the notes, is go read this article in Yale News that leptin and insulin has to fall. What's it called? Leptin hormone spurs body's shift from burning carbs to fat. If you're interested in a ketogenic diet, if you're interested in why carnivore works, this probably is one of the simplest explanations for why it works, is that fall in leptin gets us into that ketogenic state. And then the other one, and of course I will list this, is to go to cell.com, which actually has the published study where you can dive in deep. If you're a doctor, a nurse, if you're a scientist, if you want to dive in deep, this is where you go. All right, there's that part. Now, I would like to share a story with you. Leptin cost me thousands of dollars years ago. I wrote Sugar Freedom, and I wrote it over the year of 2013. Between 2008, between 2001 and 2008, I overcame obesity. And in order to do that, I finally had to get into a ketogenic state. I really discovered and committed to a ketogenic lifestyle in 2008, and now it's 2020. I'm coming up on my 12-year anniversary of being at a normal, healthy weight. Very exciting. I lost 70 pounds. I stayed right around 120 now. I'm only 5 feet tall, so I was clinically obese, and now I am at a normal, healthy weight, and I've stayed there for over 10 years. when I wrote Sugar Freedom, I wrote it because I wanted to get out to the world. I wanted to say, hey people, this is how I overcame obesity, and I want to lay out exactly what I ate in order to do that. Because when I was overweight and obese, when I was struggling, I was looking everywhere. Somebody show me a woman in her 40s who has overcome obesity. Please show me what she's done. And this is when I started really getting faster access to the internet, right around 2007, 2008. The internet started to speed up. We were able to search for more things. And I started to discover these women who were lifting weights and cutting carbs. And this was what made everything work for me. So at that time, I became a certified personal trainer. I was writing this book, and I got involved with a mastermind group. And they were good people, excellent intentions, but it was very, very expensive. I was paying, I don't even want to tell you what I was paying every month, but it was really expensive. The benefit was you got together with a group of people and that you would share your email lists. So if I created a product, and what I created was Sugar Freedom, I was with another group of people who also had online products, and then we would present our work to everybody else's lists. And it was good, and it was above board, and these are really good people. And also the group that I was with actually helped me to figure out how to write and publish my program and get it up on ClickBank. And of course, that's the one, sugarfreedom.com. If you go to sugarfreedom.com, that's the program I wrote. And you may notice that if you go to my sales page, it's, you know, it's salesy, and it's got the before and afters and all of that. All of that is legitimate. All of that is real, but it's very, you know, 2013 sales copy kind of stuff. But here's the important part. I had partners that I was working with, and these were really wonderful people. But one of my main partners had written a program that was like a 4-day diet, and the idea is that every 4 or 5 days you would do a refeed in order to increase your leptin levels. And even way back then, in 2013, 2014, and then I left the group in 2015, I felt like there was something wrong with the theory that he was presenting. It didn't work for me. And like every time I tried to do a refeed, I would just eat out of control. I'd like eat like a maniac, and I was like, and I regained like 5 pounds in like 2 days, and it was just absolutely nuts. And I couldn't figure out what was going on, because if you looked at the way he had written his program, it was like, well, gosh, of course, we've got to raise leptin levels again, because leptin is a fat-releasing hormone. As leptin levels rise, appetite falls, metabolism speeds up, and all is well. But it simply didn't work. And basically what I did is ultimately I left the group, and I never really said to him, you know, hey James, this doesn't work, and this is why it doesn't work, because I couldn't figure out why. Because the study hadn't been done. And this study wasn't done until 2018. And I know it was a rat study, but still, they saw what happened is that in order to get into nutritional ketosis, that starvation state, not just the insulin had to fall, but the leptin had to fall as well. Another thing that's really important is, well, now wait a minute, if the insulin is falling, why aren't we getting hungry, and why aren't we eating? Well, I'll tell you why. And there's actually another video I did a couple of months ago that helps to explain that. Because when you're in nutritional ketosis, when you're creating ketones, that keeps ghrelin from rising. And ghrelin is that hunger hormone that tells you, oh my goodness, I am so hungry, I had better eat up again. Well, that's the beauty of beta hydroxybutyrate. That's the beauty of ketones, is that as you lose that fat, as you lose that weight, the ketogenic state keeps the ghrelin from rising. And it makes perfect sense, because I guess in a way, you know that old commercial that said it's not nice to fool Mother Nature? I guess in some ways that evolution and nature, that there is a certain kindness, a certain fairness to it, because what's happening in mammals is that if we're in a state where we're hungry, where we're going into starvation, evolution is saying, you know what, let's hold on to that muscle. Let's try to find a way to burn fat, burn stored body fat, instead of burning muscle, so that you stay strong, and so that you stay healthy, and so you continue to live your life and do what you want to do. And I'm not, you know, living in the forest anymore. I'm a regular woman living my life. But what I realize is that being in this ketogenic state allows me to sing and dance and act and make these videos and be a good mom and be a good wife and just have a happy life. And it's so exciting. And I suppose probably this is the caffeine and the ketones talking. But I am so happy this morning to share this information with you that as we go into ketosis, as we burn fat, that yes, leptin has to fall to do that, and that is okay. And I also have a theory, and I've held this theory for a long time, and Dr. Lustig feels the same way, that perhaps the thing with leptin is that being obese, and I was obese, all that stored body fat, you've actually got higher leptin levels. And actually I have on the notes behind me, the folks who are like pro, let's add more leptin to help you lose fat. One of the things that they note is why 10% of obese people have low leptin levels. And I'm sitting there doing the math and like, hello, excuse me, doesn't that mean that 90% of obese people have normal or high leptin levels? And this is what Dr. Robert Lustig has said is like, yes, the obese, their leptin levels are high and they are leptin resistant. In the same way that hyperinsulinemia, if our insulin levels are high, we become insulin resistant. And so I like to use music as an analogy. What happens if you're listening to loud music for too long, right? You get kind of, it can damage your ears. So the key to be able to hear the music better and to resensitize your hearing isn't to turn the music up. It's to turn the music down. And so what this ketogenic strategy does is it turns the leptin down and it turns the insulin down. But the beauty of a ketogenic approach and the 3-day sugar strike, if you get sugar freedom, that 3-day sugar strike, there's no sugar, there's no grains, there's no vegetable oils, but there is actually also no fruit on the sugar strike, keeping your total carbohydrates to 20 grams or less per day. There you go. So we're turning that down, turning down the insulin, turning down the leptin. But because we are going into nutritional ketosis, we get to manage that ghrelin. We're burning free fatty acids, so we have energy. We can keep going through our day, but we're keeping the insulin and the leptin low. And so in a way, it is the best of both worlds. Because I like to say, you can't have your cake and eat steak too. I like it. But you can have weight loss and fat loss, but have strength and energy and satisfaction too. And my experience is that we can do that with a ketogenic nutritional approach. What I am doing right now is, as you know, I had been carnivore for quite some time. I actually first tried carnivore 2 years ago in March of 2018, and now I'm feeling in good health and in good shape, seeing what I can do with metabolic flexibility, because that would be my ideal, is to become metabolically flexible. I have gone back to a ketogenic approach, so bringing back in 2 salads a day and 2 servings of vegetables a day, and I will let you know how that goes. Because ideally it would be wonderful to bring back some of that flexibility. If it doesn't work, that's fine. I will probably shift back to more meat-based, but it would be kind of cool to add those vegetables back in, and so I will tell you how that goes. Thank you for watching. This is one you might want to share. The 2 hormones that have to drop in order for us to get into ketosis are insulin and leptin. All right, that's it from the Sugar Freedom Kitchen. Have a wonderful day. For health and happiness, I'm Catherine Gordon from Sugar Freedom. Bye-bye, everybody.